I think she just... Are you waving at me? Oh, she's waving at me. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Heathen Talk Season 2, Episode 13?
The most professional heathen broadcast on the
4?
air.
15. Hey, look, I can read hand signs. Tonight we are kind of talking about traditions and holidays and wrapping it all up together and seeing what there is to say. Just so everybody's aware, I took a double dose of Mucinex because I am sick. And so it may be very entertaining for y'all. Thorin?
Yeah.
I'm putting this on you because it's your baby. Pick a random person to toast because our audience yet again didn't give us anyone to toast.
Well, we're not toasting them. See, now you put me on the spot. I have no idea. I really don't.
I have a suggestion.
Who's your suggestion?
My suggestion is a group of people rather than an individual.
Okay.
To the people who make things. The people who put together, whether it's handcrafted goods or they build websites or what have you, the people who are doing creative things. It's the perfect time of year to toast them. They're always in need of our support. But this is the time of year when we're all out buying gifts for each other anyway. So if you know someone who's creative and who's making things, whether they're listed on our Yule market or not, this is the perfect time to be supportive of your friends and family who are creative.
That's a good one.
And Lauren is getting her plug so her computer doesn't die, which would kind of derail the show. So, Thorin, before we toast, because I want to wait for Lauren to be here for that, we do have an event coming up. We should talk about that.
Well, we're going to be doing my usual monthly pub moot. We're going to do it on the 9th this month, trying to keep it earlier in the month. People got things to do with family and stuff for the holidays, so we don't want to try to, compete with that because we'll lose, as is right and proper. So, yeah, the 9th, I'm going to be making event notice for it for those who are used to coming to it. I have no idea where we're going to have it at this year, or this month. We haven't decided that, but we've got at least one more episode between now and then that I can let everybody know. But it'll be somewhere in the general vicinity of, Seattle proper.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be... December is right around the corner. This is going to be an interesting month. I had planned to go to Reading to visit my family, but that became way too expensive. So I will be in Seattle for the entire month of December, and it's going to be the farthest I've ever been away from my mother during the holiday season. It's going to be weird.
Well, you're definitely welcome with my folks to celebrate. It's not the same as your mom, but
it'd be weird if it was. All right, so Lauren is away. Let's talk beer, Thorin.
Oh yeah, definitely talk beer. Maybe that'll be the entire episode.
Hell yeah. So instead of talking about what we're drinking after our toast, I don't care. Don't know what Lauren's drinking. I do care. It was a slip of the tongue. But what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm drinking one of your go-tos, actually, Josh. I didn't have an opportunity on my busyness this weekend to go make a special stop by the store, but I did have a bottle of Oakshire's Overcast Espresso Stout sitting around.
It's a good one.
So I said, crack that open. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I think I'm going to have to go visit the store soon, though. One of my good friends and also equally as beer snobby as me just pointed out that Southern Tiers got their winter beer out, their 2X Christmas, and it's a Christmas ale brewed with all the similar sort of stuff that people tend to put in glug. So that should be fun.
Interesting.
It really sounds good. And Southern Tier doesn't screw around usually. Except for that one beer they made with the spelt. That wasn't okay.
Well, everybody's got one. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
I dipped my toe it back into the Oregon pool of beers. And I am drinking Rogue's Hazelnut Brown Nectar.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a mediocre beer. Like, I remember it was one of my first craft beers I ever had, you know? And I remember being super excited because it was when all you've been drinking is your grandpa's Budweiser. Mm-hmm. Even this tastes amazing. But, well, in reality, this is really just kind of a middle of the road. I mean, we even, before the show, we had a conversation about what natural hazelnut flavor is. Because it doesn't say made with hazelnuts. It says made with natural hazelnut flavor. And it just kind of threw me off. It's not a bad looking beer. I mean, it is, it's kind of pretty. Got a nice little color to it there. Lauren, while we were waiting for you, we decided to talk beer because it's what we're good at.
You guys are very good at talking beer. Sorry, guys. I just realized I needed to go get the power cable for my tablet because
we also picked a toasty live on air. It was fun.
Awesome. Who did we toast?
We haven't toasted them yet. I wanted to wait for you. We're toasting the makers, the creative people.
Definitely.
Those people who make the crafts and the cool little baubles that we all like to decorate our homes with. We all have friends who are very creative. I try my hand at it, but I'm subpar at best. So we decided to toast you guys tonight. So if Lauren's done fiddling with stuff,
I'm sorry, because I wanted to get I had something. Okay, go ahead.
All I was saying is to the makers.
To the makers.
The makers.
So the audience knows what Thorin and I are drinking. They also know our opinions about what we're drinking. What are you drinking?
I am drinking some of the Tippy Cow Orange Cream. It is a rum drink with orange liqueur and some sort of milk product. I'm not entirely sure. It comes from a bottle. It comes from a really cool bottle that looks like a dairy bottle.
You know what that would do to me if I drink it? I would be like 7 kinds of miserable.
See, but on the bright side, Josh, where she's drinking something out of a cool bottle that actually tastes good, you're drinking Rogue.
Ouch.
So
you got to give it. Their bottles are cool.
I gotta, even though we're talking about our makers, we do have our Yule Marketplace, which of course is available at yule.heathentalk.com. And there's lots of great makers, but I kind of wanted to show one off because I got these and I'm really impressed with them. But I ordered these from an Etsy shop called Hearth and Stars. And let's see, they're a little pretty.
The wire work.
Got that one, and then also they have. Let's see. Got this one.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So these are going to be actually ornaments. But I know a lot of other... I get into this conversation with other female heathens. Like, we struggle to find Mjolnirs that are pretty. Because the majority of them available are fairly masculine. So, I really like these. And I wanted to show them off. But we have lots of other really great vendors, including our sponsor, who is the book Heathenry. And if you haven't had a chance to read it yet, it's this really great kind of study and survey of how women practice heathenry. And it's not, and it really kind of spans from, regions, it spans countries even, talking about how people do heathenry, how they, their traditions, which kind of ties in with what we're doing tonight. And that's volume 1. Volume 2 will be coming out in the new year. And so if you have not had a chance to pick up a copy, go to Heathenry. That's Heathenry with an S in the front, .com, and pick up a copy. And while you're there, swing over to Danielle's other shop, A Stitch in Time, where she has some absolutely gorgeous, and I do mean gorgeous, hand felted and handmade items that use traditional techniques kind of fused with modern fashions. So thank you so much once again. That is heathenry.com.
I just want to address real quick. I know some of our other sponsors listening. We received your emails. We're reviewing everything to see which ones, which people we're going to accept as sponsors. We really owed Heathenry the opportunity to get sponsored this month, and so that's why they're in there. But we will get to the rest of you, I promise.
We will.
And to the one person who submitted an article, I've read it. I just haven't been able to get it through my head to tell Lauren to put it up on the website. So Lauren, when you get a chance, there's an article thing to put up on the website.
Hey Josh, you know what? You can put them up too.
I could.
And
I'm not sure you want me monkeying around on the website tonight.
Maybe not tonight, but I do have finals coming up. So yeah, one more week of school for this semester. And I'm very happy about that. Ugh.
So, because we very wisely decided to let me pick the topic tonight.
Because there's something more fun than letting the guy that's getting high on medication pick the topic.
Hey, you are the boss. You keep saying it, and so we let you be the boss.
I just want to point out, I didn't pick this. Y'all picked me.
No, it was your idea, so congratulations.
So we're talking traditions and holidays and all the stuff that goes into that. We just came through a secular holiday, Thanksgiving, which is chock full of family traditions. I know in my own family there are recipes that only come out on Thanksgiving. And then we're moving further into the holiday season with Christmas, and for those of us with Jewish family, Hanukkah, and even Ramadan is coming up. So wanted to talk about the different holiday traditions that we have, how those impact us heathens, and then also the heathen take on one of the concepts that permeates this time of year.
Josh, Ramadan won't come up till May.
I thought Ramadan was in December.
Ramadan is on the lunar calendar, so it moves back like 2 weeks every year.
Oh.
Because I went to a Ramadan thing
Ignore me.
Yeah, I went to a Ramadan thing in June this year, and I was like, I don't think that's quite right.
Anyway, the God damn it. You derailed my train of thought. I was going strong. The topic that comes up every year this time of year, consumerism. And as heathens, we're very gift-centric, right? We have a gift cycle. We give things to each other all the time. I'm very firmly and sometimes to my surprise locked into a gift cycle with some of the local heathens here that there's no escaping from. Like, I'm in it. But how do we separate a gift cycle from being strictly a consumerist thing? So that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight. I want
to say this here. I think I want to start out with, we talk about consumers and consumerist. I think maybe we need to because I know a lot of heathens that are who I guess would fall into that category. I know, consumerism, they don't see consumerism as inherently bad. So does consumerism match up with a heathen worldview? Or doesn't it? That's I think that's a fair question to ask, Josh.
It absolutely is, which is why we have this show to ask it on.
Well, this
aren't you glad?
Immediately,
it's like we planned this or something.
Immediately went in the direction I thought it would. I didn't know we were going to be arguing the pros and cons of consumerism.
Well, I mean, I just think that if we're going to go into this idea of consumerism in the holidays and approach it as heathenry not being non-consumerism, we need to actually define why, because otherwise
I'm not saying heathenry is not consumerist.
No, I'm not going to say that either.
No,
I would argue very, very strongly that we have a strong tie towards making and trade. And that lends itself to a type of consumerism. I'm not entirely sure it's very heathen to go and punch someone in the face because that Black Friday deal on that flat screen TV. But
I broke my normal vow and I did some Black Friday yesterday, but we did it like at 2 p.m. when all the crazy people are tired and have gone home.
I just want to point out, I work as a customer service representative in a call center for a telecom, being as vague as I can be. And to all you people who waited till Black Friday to call and bitch about your internet, fuck you. Go be with your family. I wanted to be with mine. Randy.
Well, 15 minutes in, we've got our first F-bomb of the holiday season.
Yes.
That's what I do.
Proud of you guys. I generally don't. It's not that I have this huge aversion to Black Friday. I just don't like crowds that much. So, like, anywhere, like the last time I went to Black Friday, I had a panic attack because I couldn't move. So, yeah, I'm not too keen on that. But yeah, I mean, I think that there is something. What good does it do my tribe if I'm in jail because I got into a fist fight over a $99 27-inch TV?
What good does it do your community if you punch a member of it because you couldn't agree over who got to the Tickle Me Elmo first?
Or and this is like the punching people on Black Friday thing, the Black Friday fights. This is nothing new. I mean, I remember being preschool age and people were getting into fist fights over Cabbage Patch dolls.
You know what's funny is, like, to me,
which to this day I don't understand.
It's like to me the Black Friday riots and fights and stampedes and stuff, that's like a mythical thing to me. It's something I've grown up hearing happens. I've never lived anywhere where it actually happened. And I've lived in a lot of places in this country, and it's just never happened close to me.
When I was 18, I worked at Target. And I worked Black Friday because I worked retail. If you work retail, you work Black Friday. I got assaulted by a 70-year-old woman with a Bumblebee action figure. So, I mean, it was funny. It was really funny. But
I mean, like, I've even the epic lines, the campouts and stuff you always hear about. I think I saw one close to me last year. It was at the Best Buy, and there was one tent. That was it. One guy that showed up and thought he had to pitch a tent in front of the Best Buy, and I think he realized his mistake well before they opened, but at that point he was kind of committed.
There have been, I just Googled it, there have been multiple assaults and cops called on Black Friday in Seattle.
I would be willing to bet that about 90% of them were at Walmarts, and those don't count. They're like a little slice of Arkansas plopped in the middle of Seattle.
It's not nice to generalize Arkansas that way.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest fights, Black Friday fights I've ever seen were all in Memphis.
You know what the funny thing
Memphis is cutthroat. Oh man!
When I said Arkansas, I wasn't even trying to take a jab at you. I just went to Arkansas first for some reason.
Well, because Walmart was founded in Arkansas.
I would never be so down on the south-ish, Midwest-ish area as to say that it typifies Walmart.
No.
Walmart is its own very special thing.
Walmart is like some sort of breach in the space-time continuum, like a wormhole. It doesn't matter where you are. If you go to a Walmart, you're going to see the same things. It doesn't matter if you are in New York or Mississippi. It's just its own like little anomaly.
There are certain typical street names that you see in cities that are the same way.
Yeah, we have a Confederate. We actually renamed Confederate Boulevard here because it was the epitome of like racist white trash. But anyway, so
we were talking consumerism.
Consumerism. I'm sorry, we got.
I think what we need to consider is not the fact that consumerism itself is bad. It's that, well, it's the rallying cry of most, I would say, of most heathenry and ultimately of most decent human beings. It's moderation. Getting in a fight in a Walmart is not a good thing. Buying a nice gift for someone you love is. That's where you all follow up with points.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna
and words and such.
You know, I mean, even in, and I apologize that I'm looking, you know, I apologize. I'm kind of trying to find this here because my brain kind of goes. But basically, in the Havamal, and I apologize that I'm not, you know, I'm not someone who knows the Havamal frontwards and backwards, but it even says in there, you know, be generous, but don't be too generous. You know, there's this whole idea of it's good to be generous. It's good to be a giver, but at the same time, don't like put yourself in a bad place because of it.
Well, I mean, for many obvious reasons. I mean, one of them is obviously you don't want to impoverish yourself with giving, because that's damaging to you. That's damaging to your family who you're supposed to help support. It ends up putting a burden on your community, who at some point may be the ones trying to, you know, support you because you've done that. And also the entire concept of a gift as an obligation. You are obliging other people with your over giving in order to properly service the gift cycle. You know, and it's important not to do that.
And that is very true, because you know, you can end up in a you know, the inverse is always true. Don't do it. And, you know, if somebody gives you something really nice, don't give them, you know, a re-gifted whatever. I don't know, ceramic rooster.
My grandmother would love a ceramic rooster.
Unless it's Josh's grandmother.
Then you can give her a ceramic rooster.
Yes.
But that's somebody who wants a ceramic rooster. You don't want to, like, re-gift, I guess is my point. You know, don't, like, somebody gives you something really nice and handmade, don't give them, like, a wedding present from 8 years ago you never opened. Or one you did.
See, I'm not so sure I agree with that.
Well, if there's no thought behind it, you're just like, oh crap, I need a gift. Oh, this will work, and
oh, well, that's different. That's just
that was the point I was trying to put behind it. You know, don't give somebody, you know, that was the point I was trying to make. Like,
so then, Thorin, I'm going to put the question to you.
All right.
How do we balance the gift-giving impulse that we as heathens have, right, with an unhealthy consumerist society? How do we participate without letting it consume us?
I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I mean,
so how do you do it? What do you do?
I give gifts within my means. And I try to give gifts that the other person I have reason to believe they either need or want. And I think the most important thing is trying to judge whether or not the person either wants any gift from me or is in a position to accept a gift from me. Because I've become very mindful about the concept of, you know, a gift being a burden, or a gift being an obligation, rather. And I know that when I give to somebody that they're going to be obliged to get back to me. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that I try not to put other people out. And anytime you give a gift, you are to an extent putting people out. But I mean, yes, you're also servicing the gift cycle, and that's part of it. I'm very careful about who I enter into a gift cycle with. And it has nothing to do, I guess all of this ends up being that the byproduct of all of my things is that I don't really end up having a problem with an unhealthy relationship with consumerism. But
so basically what you're saying is you don't put yourself into a hardship through your gift giving, which is what Lauren was saying.
Yeah, I don't put myself into a hardship, but I also try not to put others into a hardship.
Which is important, because, if you give a gift that can't be returned in kind, then you're either placing someone beneath you or you're kind of rubbing it in their face, one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, the gift cycle to a certain extent can be a power play. It can be exercised in such a way that it is, how do I put it? It's sort of cementing or applying a certain amount of social status between two people. Because, when I give you a gift, I'm making you oblige to me, and your ability to return that gift is going to be affected by your position financially, by your means, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can very easily find yourself accidentally making social power plays with the gift cycle.
It's true.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say this here is that is my position within my kindred as she who must be obeyed, which is essentially equivalent to a chieftain position. I feel that I can be a bit more generous because, and some of it is the power play, but it's the nature of my position that a chieftain should be, I guess, to some degree, in the power position in gifting, and that gives me, within my tribe at least, I don't feel, I don't feel the least bit bad about gifting a greater amount.
No, absolutely. I mean,
because that's in the same way that as I am kind of slowly building my way as kind of the new matriarch of our family, I feel there's kind of another position there that I can exert my authority through gifting.
Right. Well, I mean, I absolutely do plan on, okay, so everybody in my tribe is going to receive gifts from me this year. I don't necessarily expect to receive gifts back at the same level, because part of what I'm doing is, for lack of a better way to put it, is I'm buying my tribe.
Yeah. And monetary value is not always the value of a gift. I know that to some degree, when you look at kind of like history, you had certain tribal leaders and kings who were trying to buy the loyalty, especially of people, to get them to fight for them. But to at least within my tribe and within my kind of heathen circle in the bubble here, handmade gifts are worth 3 times a gift where you just, if you just purchased something. Because there's not only the monetary investment, because let me tell you what, you would think like making handmade stuff, I'm not going to tell you how much money I spend in yarn, but it's pretty ridiculous. I could have bought like 4 scarves for the price of what I'd pay sometimes to make a scarf. So, there is that. I mean, to us, there's something much more, there's just something better about a gift that somebody has put their time and effort into. That's why, I mean, there are certain people who give gifts that I have a privilege of sharing a horn with, and their gifts are, I could give someone like, a $200 necklace, but compared to the thing that someone else built, or made, they're just completely different. There's the thing that's been made has a higher value.
I think that ties into the next part of that subject I wanted to talk about is tradition, because that sounds like a very localized tradition. God damn it, I muted that.
Regional, but yeah.
So what other regional or localized traditions do you have that are either fed directly from your heathenry or have directly impacted your heathenry?
I'd say one of the biggest things for us has just been, like for us, we very much plan, we don't celebrate an exact number, we try to celebrate around 12 days of Yule. This year it's going to be 14 because we are being mindful that all of the members of my tribe have family. And almost every single one of them is either going to be traveling to be with family or have family coming to them. So we are going to have our Mother's Night and then have our last night of Yule on New Year's Eve to allow people a chance to travel, to have family, to spend that time with their family, because it's, all of us come from Christian families and Christmas is super important. And we wouldn't want to, I personally, I wouldn't, I don't, in as much as I don't celebrate Christmas, I still wouldn't want to not be with family at Christmas.
I know, my folks, we have a tradition of an open celebration, at least once, an open Yule party, I guess you could say. Anybody is welcome. I mean, I specifically invite a certain number of people, and it's a lot more people than I would ever invite to any other thing throughout the year. And I tell them they can invite other people if they want. Nobody's turned away. Everybody eats. Everybody drinks. Everybody gets a place at the table on that one night. And, there are some heathen elements, specifically heathen elements to it that are kept amongst the heathens, but beyond that, it's everybody comes. All my friends, my wife's friends, their friends, their friends. Sometimes I've met people.
Some people were stuck for several hours to come.
Yeah. Josh was there last year when he was still living in an entirely different state. And you ate well, didn't you?
So well. I really hope that Kate's there again with those buffalo cauliflower things. Those were good.
I didn't want to like them, but I did.
They were so good.
The entire concept of vegan buffalo wings just insulted me to my core, but they did taste good.
You just had to not think of them as wings. They were buffalo cauliflower bites.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, that's a fantastic tradition. Lauren, you've got your traditions of being mindful, including being mindful of people's families and celebrating Christmas with your folks.
And we have semi-open Yule, semi-open Mother's Night. We're open to. It's not like Thorin's rip roaring party that he throws, but there's going to be. It's not like, for instance, when we did Winter Finding, when it was just kindred only. Yule, our vigil for, our all-night vigil and stuff, that's open to whoever wants to drop by whenever. And that's perfectly good with us. But, we plan it around us and other people are welcome. Within reason.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm personally not established well enough to have any hard-won traditions. I'm not even sure if I'm getting a tree again this year.
We stopped doing the tree thing a long time ago.
I only did a tree last year because y'all made me.
We did make you, yeah. I'll say we like to hang the boughs all around the ceiling and hang decorations from them. And there's even an old tradition that we kind of incorporate into of hanging gifts from those boughs around the edge of the ceiling.
I like my tree, and you guys can just suck it because my tree is awesome.
See, out of the three of us, though, I just in general don't like the holiday season.
That's because you're
One of my
wrong.
least favorite times a year.
That's because you're wrong.
I fully admit that it's because I'm wrong.
And see, my tree is like this scrapbook of my ancestors, my family, memories. You know, I always add an ornament every year, and I have ornaments dating back. You have ornaments on my tree that are older, that are as old as my mom.
That's
And my
it's
kind of
as well, but my ornaments disappeared.
I'll say that's Lauren. That's kind of like our boughs around the ceiling. Is we've got some just regular ornaments and stuff that we bought, but we have specific ones that have built up over the years and go on. Ones from my parents, ones for our pets. Believe it or not, and now we've got a kid on the way. There's going to be at least one for the kid. Kid will probably end up getting one of her own every year. Adding a new one to it. Until she's old enough to kick out.
That was one of my family kind of things my mom did, is she saved all those ornaments, and then when we got our house, she gave them all to me.
See, that's really cool. My mom's traditions, for instance, one of my mom's traditions is she gets a new nativity scene every year, because my mom's Christian. And she gave me one of her nativity scenes, and I'm for sure putting it up. Yeah, he's not, I'm not a Christian, so it doesn't mean the same thing, but it has that traditional link back to my mother and my family through that.
Is it the hipster nativity scene, Josh? Tell me it's the hipster nativity scene.
No, it's a really, really pretty German-made nativity scene that's got like it's made out of wood. The pieces are all hand carved. It's gorgeous.
Nice.
See, my mom adds a new piece to her nativity scene, which has really turned into the nativity village at this point. Because she inherited it from her mother and then proceeded to keep adding. And at this point, if she pulled every single piece out, it would take up the entire dining room table.
Moderation. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, but that's one piece bought over 30 years.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's not too bad. The problem is, when it passes on to the next generation, who continues it.
Yeah. So, and there's stuff like that I definitely, there's, there are things that we will do for our Yule that are completely not heathen or even not Germanic. We make Arkansas spice cider, which for the three of you listening who are from the South, South version, it's
we're talking about booze. This interests all of us. I want to hear this.
No. There's no booze involved. This is a bad
never
thing.
mind then. Let's change the subject.
Yeah, moving on to
No, because this is glorious. This is glorious. You heat up cider, you put orange slices and red hots in it. Except usually it's not cider, it's usually apple juice, because cider is hard to find in a town of 1,200 people.
So instead of using cinnamon sticks, which the rest of the civilized world would do, y'all take movie theater candy and put it in apple juice.
Except red hots aren't movie theater candy down here. People eat red hots like normally.
Was it a wee bit
normal?
The South just gets weirder and weirder.
It really does, doesn't it?
Well, this is the Baptist version of things with alcohol.
So the non-Baptist version is where you make it and then you pour whiskey in it, right?
Probably vodka.
She lives in the South. It wouldn't be whiskey. It would be bourbon.
God, it just gets worse.
I would do vodka because I can't have either of those.
That's true.
Well, does bourbon have gluten in it? It's made with corn.
No, it's made with a certain percentage of corn.
It's the mash has wheat and hops in it, and I can't, and barley, and I can't have any of those.
I believe it's got to have like 60% corn or something approaching that, and other than that, it's
all right. So I'm issuing a challenge to our South Heathen friends. Somebody make a pure corn whiskey for Lauren.
Here's the problem: is that a pure corn whiskey won't work because it has to have the malt in it, and malt is got gluten.
I have seen malted rice used as a substitute, and it works. Not well, but it works.
You say that, but malted rice can have gluten. I know this because I ate some, and it was a horrible, horrible experience.
Josh, you got to stop, man. You can't see.
Dude, I am 2 weeks in
my face.
And 2.5 beers in, and since you don't have webcam, I don't care.
You can't see the pain you're causing me.
Anyway, there's, in our family we have those, but we all have those recipes. But I'll make that for my tribe, and we have the kick-ass green beans that we have at almost every single kindred gathering that my kindred brother makes, and they are the most kick-ass green beans. I won't lie to you, but that's a tradition. I mean, Ben always cooks the pork. Those, and a lot of people think, oh, well, and there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't have traditions. But when you really think about things like that, I guarantee you that every single one of you has those traditions. You have something.
You know how you get traditions?
Doing shit.
You do shit. Then next year you do that shit again?
I would like to take a moment and discuss a tradition that needs to end.
Uh-huh.
And it is a sin. And I mean that in the Christian term. You will go to fire and brimstone hell for this. Stop honey glazing hams. It's gross.
Kiss my butt. Honey glazed ham.
I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Honey glazed ham is nasty.
Pepper honey glazed ham is the bomb.
No.
Yeah.
Ham is a savory meat. Stop trying to... It's already got a natural sweetness. You don't know. Stop it.
Crust. It's so. Josh, you're wrong.
So, Josh, you know what? Or Thanksgiving I haven't brought you yet. There's ham in it, and it's not honey glazed.
Whoever brought that ham that wasn't honey glazed, if Lexi made it, she's a goddess.
Lex made it, and she did a damn fine job of it.
Fantastic. Now that
Tell me I can't put pineapples on my ham, there's going to be a fist fight.
Gross. Gross.
Clove and pineapple on ham is like classic.
Next thing you know, you'll be putting pineapple on pizza.
Oh, no. Let's not go that far. Pineapple and dairy should never mix.
I can't.
Josh, I'm sorry that you're wrong.
All this has done is shown me that I am right to stay in the civilized part of the world.
Say, Josh, we really need to not make fun of the cuisine and traditions of third world nations.
Okay. I just want to say to Mr. Hammer, my friend over here on our YouTube live chat, who agrees with me that honey ham is the boss. I don't know who Ray Shin is, but you can go. You're wrong. Honey ham is, in fact, the boss.
That was Mr. Hammer?
Yes.
Mr. Hammer, you are entitled to your opinion. I apologize for your unfortunate life choices. Anyway.
Oh, man.
So you know what's superior to either honey glazed ham or proper ham?
Dr. Pepper glazed.
Wild boar.
The wild boar that I do every year. That's become a tradition.
What Lauren just said, though. Dr. Pepper ham is the exception to sweet ham.
I've never had it.
Oh God, it's everything.
I keep hearing about it, and it sounds like an exceptionally southern thing to do.
My recipe, it's not just a southern thing, it's a Texas thing. Okay. My recipe for Dr. Pepper ham has actually been published.
You know, Lauren, you're actually living in the right neck of the woods to go down to a truck stop and get one of the recipes I came up with. I invented the ultimate holiday food.
Okay.
And it's on the menu in some random Arkansas truck stop from when I was in a gaming clan. It's the bacon burger dog.
Okay.
You take a hot dog and you wrap it in burger, and you wrap that in bacon, you wrap that in cheese, and you bake it. it's the worst thing ever invented, and you can buy it in Arkansas.
Yeah, well, there are parts of the Ozarks that we just don't go to. But no, I mean, the thing is, though, we can argue about what kind of ham or this, that, and the other, but at the end of the day, these are all traditions. The fact that Josh is vehemently against honey baked hams, and I love some honey glazed hams, it's very regional, because to me, that honey glazed ham, that crust, everything involved with it brings back just vivid childhood memories. And that may be why I like it more than anything else.
Well, I think the important takeaway that we're starting to get towards here about halfway through the episode is that not all ritual is religious.
No.
Tradition is a form of ritual.
Absolutely.
And it's a ritual that in and of itself could even be, you can even argue to call it ancestor worship, or at least a form of it, in that you are continuing the rituals and traditions of your people as life continues, as the generations go on. And now we go back to that whole concept of, well, what about I don't have these traditions that you people are talking about? And that's where you go and do shit so that one day somebody can.
Well, I mean, if you have family members who, your older generation family members, if they're still alive, ask them for their recipes, ask them for their, I'm not, go do it, ask them. I have my great grandmother's hot water cornbread recipe that I cook for stuff all the time. Same kind of thing. I have it because it's a family recipe and it's a tradition, and it's something that, I share not only with my family, but with my kindred, because they're a part of my family. That's the way our oaths are structured.
I've got my glug recipe, and I share it with my people and, well, everybody else, because it's better than your glug recipe. And I don't
have a glug recipe, Thorin.
That is meant for those who do. If you have a glug recipe, mine is better. Just throwing that out there.
I think when we talk about this sort of thing, we say, go and do things to build recipes, or talk to your aunts, uncles, grandmothers. I think it's so important to really internalize that. My great grandmother's cake recipe, when we were at her wake, there was actually a contest. My family took the passing of my great grandmother and turned it into a competition to see who could recreate her cake the most accurately. And it was all because that's how important this woman was to us. Her recipe was central to all of our gatherings, and now we know that we can make it, and that can continue, and she can still be a part of everything we do.
So you're going to spread your grandmother's glory at Yule, right?
Absolutely.
You heard it here. He's bringing a cake to Yule.
And that's, I'm going to put this out here, guys, and this is a kind of a very girly thing, but you want to do something cool and very heathen for your family? Get with the older generations of your family, gather up their recipes, and make a cookbook. One of my most prized possessions are my cookbooks that I have that were made of my great grandmother's recipes. I mean, you can that they're in the pile of things I grab if the house is on fire. That's how much those cookbooks mean to me, and those recipes.
Well, and their recipes and their stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
The stories that you can hear about not only the person telling them, but the people that came before them. I mean,
I can't tell you how old.
It's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, that hot water cornbread recipe, I can't tell you how old that is in our family. But it is, it's such a huge thing to have that and to have those memories. And I think that to me, cooking these recipes and passing these recipes, that's a way that I'm allowing, especially my female ancestors, a chance to continue to be remembered and live on, is because that is so, to me, that's so important. It's just, I just can't even explain it any other way.
my male ancestors tend to live on in the form of weapons passed down from generation to generation. We have a Colt that is passed down. Is a black powder Colt revolver that was purchased brand new and has been passed down to the oldest male every time one of the grandparents dies. I couldn't even tell you the name of my ancestor who purchased it. That's how old it is.
Damn.
And the thing is, if you don't have something like that in your family, start something like that in your family.
It's true.
And
I think
one day you will be the ancestor that no one can remember, but damn, that was your China dish.
or that was your recipe.
Yeah.
I will always
your story.
I say I'm going to be the ancestor that they all remember. They're probably just going to start remembering really, really wrong after a certain number of generations.
Oh, that's half the fun.
Mm-hmm.
The stories I'm going to tell your daughter guarantee it. So,
myth, legend, Thorin.
Well, I mean it's like fishing stories. All these stories turn into fishing stories at the end of the day, where you end up with somebody telling somebody telling somebody else, and then the fish is suddenly 6 feet long and it tried to eat the boat.
well, so there's one that's developed in my family. It gets told every year, and the funny thing is, it's not even a Christmas story, and it's not even that old. When I was a kid, I went up to visit my grandparents, and we all went fishing. We didn't catch a single fish. We caught, probably in reality, 5 bullfrogs. And the stories evolved into, apparently we caught enough bullfrogs to feed the entire family, and we were going to have a frog leg feast. The only part of the story that is true is that my uncle convinced 6-year-old Josh that bullfrogs are an endangered species, and thus we could not eat the legs, so we released what has turned into a torrential downpour of bullfrogs into my grandmother's backyard.
A virtual plague.
Yes. And every year, the number of bullfrogs gets bigger, and every year the younger grandchildren look at me in awe that we caught that many bullfrogs, and I just don't have the heart to tell them the truth.
I mean, that's absolutely, that's great. That's just as much tradition as anything else. To kind of throw it into a heathen context, we have a tradition around here among my kindred and our neighbor kindred that anytime we get into a period where we're taking serious oaths, we tell a story about the oath. The oath of, if I lose my house, I will kill myself. That someone took. That when I was a baby heathen and scared me to death. By the way, the full story of the oath is in the book Heathenry. So yet another reason to go by the book. And yet but that's a tradition. We tell that story as a warning. Even though this happened over 10 years ago, we tell the story. Part of it's kind of become tradition that we tell the story because we're taking oaths, and part of it's a lesson, and there's a lesson to new heathens or even old heathens sometimes about the seriousness of not just the seriousness of taking an oath, but the seriousness of witnessing an oath.
And I think, a lot of times, not necessarily, traditions, stories, myths, legends, a lot of times serve to teach. Mm-hmm. They have function to them. That function might not necessarily be their original purpose, but they develop function over time. I'm sure that when, capital T, capital O, the oath was taken, nobody was thinking about using it as a teaching moment. All the older heathens were too busy having panic attacks.
Let's be honest.
But but now it's a lesson on the serious oaths. Now it's a lesson on the necessity of the Thula.
Yes, exactly. And and that's why now, even if it's just my kindred, just oath members, and there's we make a square at that point. we have a Thula, because that's not happening.
Right.
And it also builds to the man who took that oath has passed away. He passed away about 2 years ago. And not only that, it also builds it builds his story. That here's this man that took this incredibly serious, that's the word I'm trying to get to, serious oath. And one that we would never allow in a million years, but he kept it and he did it. And then it's just like, ooh, ah.
So, when it comes to the holiday season, right? We've got Yule coming up, and we all celebrate a little differently. But when it comes to holidays in general for heathens, when we're building tradition, is it something that can be done consciously, or is it something that just happens over time?
Yes.
I think that it can absolutely be intentional, and it can absolutely, to me, it's one of those things where with us and how it's worked with my group, and how it works with my group, how it works with your group, it's probably not the same, but we intentionally do things based on research and lore and our best understanding at the moment. Then from there, what works sticks and what doesn't, we don't repeat. I mean, that's pretty much, that's how it works for us. And, that works very well for us. Does it work for everybody? I don't know. I don't know. It works for us, but.
So I can just think of a few traditions that we have around here that, they go back and forth. Some were intentional, some were not. The very existence of my Yule party was an unintentional start of a tradition. I did it 1 year because I had the means and it seemed like a good idea. And I did it the second year because everybody enjoyed it the first year and I still had the means. I did it the third year because by that point it kind of had tradition and I was a little bit towards the edge of my means to make it happen, but I made it happen because it was expected at that point. And, now I have my own tribe, I'm a chieftain. To not do it would, be a reflection on my entire tribe. And it is not just within my tribe, but within my local community. It's a tradition that I throw this celebration. People come to it. People who aren't heathen expect it every year now. People who are heathen expect it every year. The boar, on the other hand, was intentional. That just seems like the proper thing to serve to me. So, or actually a better example for an intentional one is that, and again, I'll go back to Yule, is that we live under a bond of intentional peace during the time of Yule. And we have a tradition where everybody brings, even though the peace has nothing necessarily to do with, it's not just about physical fighting, it's about, words as well, actions in general. The tradition itself is to bring a weapon with you to the gathering that starts the season and ritualistically bind it and leave it bound for the duration of the season. So, and that one was one we intentionally created. It's me and a couple of people, this was back before my tribe was even a thing, decided that was a thing that should happen, and we decided that was going to be the tradition.
That's awesome that you guys, had that intentional tradition that has grown, and I think that's good. Here's the thing: we don't have explicit instructions laid out for us about how to celebrate any heathen holiday. We don't even know for sure what holidays are what. I mean, we don't have definitive answers for any of it. So, as pragmatic as we are, sometimes we just gotta throw stuff at the wall using our best guess and see what sticks.
Yeah, we've discussed in here before about, You know, you can't necessarily make a universal heathen liturgical calendar.
No.
You just can't. I mean,
I can't even make one like in Arkansas every year.
I can make one for my tribe, and that's about it.
But I'm just saying, like for like holidays that are dependent, like when you're finding, one year we may have it in October, the next year we may not. We didn't have it till the middle of November because the weather here is so chaotic, unpredictable.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just talking about, the idea of whether a holiday exists at all on a calendar. As far as dates go, yeah, I mean, winter happens at a different time, especially, with climate change and all that. Dates move around a little bit. I can think of holidays that exist here and nowhere else. In fact, I'm pretty sure at this point in time, they only exist within my tribe. The hop harvest is a good example of that. I don't think anybody else is doing that.
I Feast of the First Harvest for my tribe. We're the only ones I know that are doing it because we're all pretty avid gardeners.
Right, and it would, from my point of view, I would find it extremely weird if, your tribe started doing a hops harvest festival.
Nope. Now, strawberry harvest, we might get into that, but
which in turn would be weird for my tribe to do.
Yeah.
But appropriate for members of mine to do because Oregon is a very big strawberry grower.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. I wish there was a harvest season for creeper blackberries.
Himalayan blackberries?
No. Those are
delicious, but an abomination.
They're an abomination. Yes. No, creepers. They're the little vine that they grow in creeping vines along the ground.
The local.
Yeah, it's the local one. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, in the west side of the Cascades, we have a type of native blackberry that this native blackberry is why we hate the invasive Himalayan blackberry with a burning passion of 1,000 suns. Is because while Himalayan blackberries, the ones that most of you are used to eating, are delicious, the creeper blackberries are worlds beyond. They are the golden fruit of the gods.
They also don't destroy entire ecosystems.
The problem is anywhere that you have Himalayan blackberries, the creepers can't grow. They get out competed by the Himalayans. So we slaughter Himalayan blackberries when we see them. Not before we take the fruit off the vine and eat it or use it for brewing, but as soon as we harvest it, we do our best to eradicate it. As if you can actually eradicate
every one of you to eat as much Himalayan blackberry as you possibly can.
And whatever you do,
about it.
Well, the best way to do it is eat it and then make sure that you don't crap in the woods.
No,
because that's how it spreads.
Hey, I'm just going to state for the record, I'm allergic to blackberries, so I don't care.
I'm curious to see whether or not your allergy would extend to the creepers. I'd have to see one.
Pretty much, because we have native blackberries here that I'm allergic to.
Mm-hmm.
I would not risk it.
Yeah.
After the last time I ended up in the hospital.
No, that's fair.
Let's not have Lauren in the hospital again. We like Lauren. She makes our lives a little easier.
Right.
I do try. But I mean,
of course, the Himalayan blackberries, they try to kill the salmonberries and whatnot as well, and that's also a crime because salmonberries are delicious. If you've never had salmonberry mead, you're missing out.
It's true.
Well, I mean, and like here, I kind of have some of the same. We have native grapes here, and I kind of feel the same way about like. I don't understand why people would not actually grow the grapes that grow here well, that are native, and instead want to grow grapes from other places. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
We have
another one that I've never got, people who purposefully grow Thompson seedless. It is a crap grape.
It is a crap grape. People keep, growing red delicious apples, and everybody knows those are half a lie. The only true part is the red.
True.
Yeah, I'm actually like super to be, because we're kind of rambling tonight. I'm actually super excited because I'm gonna be able to grow. I've already got the plants ordered for native grapes to put them in my backyard. I'm pretty excited because my great grandmother grew them.
Nice. You know, we've got native knot grapes out here. Oregon grape. That's what it's called, but it's definitely not a grape.
No.
I think it might be related to blueberries. I'm not entirely positive.
Oregon has this habit of throwing its name on berries and things that aren't those things. Like Oregon berry, it's technically strawberry.
Yeah, it really is. But
why would they do that?
Because Oregonians have a superiority that is justified by their geographical location.
See, I just want to say, we just give things like messed up names, like scuppernongs and muscadines, and yeah.
And you know what? I'm sitting here trying to decide whether that's an Indian name or a Latin name, and I can't figure it out.
It's a Southern name.
Well, here scuppernong is it's named after a river, so I don't know. Muscadine, which is their scuppernongs are kind of a big kind of muscadine that are native here, but muscadines are it's a Native American, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like you're just making words up because you know we can't call you out on it.
Well, I mean,
look it up, guys. Seriously.
The Pacific Northwest does the same thing. And I say the Pacific Northwest intentionally because Cascadia tries not to do it.
I do get a giggle every time I drive past Chuckanut.
And I'm sure this happens in Arkansas too, right? We get righteously offended when someone from not in the area can't pronounce one of our words.
Like squim.
Willamette?
Squim?
Squib? And I heard this one recently in an audiobook and it drove me nuts. Sequoia. Do you know what word that is?
Sequoia?
Yes.
How could you mispronounce
that's not even a Northwest thing.
But this person, every time he would say the words giant sequoias, and it took me way too long to be like, what the hell is he talking about? Oh, he means sequoias.
But seriously, I'm just gonna lay this out here for you. Muscadine, Muscadine. Go Google it. It exists. Right. Skullgrim also agrees with me. He asked, why are muscadines the most delicious thing in the whole damn planet? And the answer is because they're southern.
I think the answer is because
video on the south.
I think the answer is because you've never been out here to know any better.
No, they're really good. Because we have a killer growing season.
You know, on a completely unrelated note that doesn't really matter to anybody but possibly Josh, because we were talking about making up the weird names around here. I just discovered a new one. I've known the name for a long time. It was finding out exactly how stupid the name was that kind of threw me. You're familiar with Tahoma, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just assume that, you know, based on the naming conventions of the area, that's another native word.
Yeah, I figured it was right up there with Snoqualmie or...
No, I thought so too, but it's not. It apparently it was a word invented in like the 1920s by some school kids for a general area, and it's actually just a mash together of the first letters of the names of the three areas that come together to make Tahoma. It's like I know that the last one, the M part, comes from Maple Valley. It's ridiculous. And I only found that out because apparently they're building a high school and I'm going to be installing some signs in it next year.
Interesting.
And one of the signs is informational. Speaking of stupid traditions, there are stupid traditions.
Here's the thing. It's really interesting because I know everybody has stupid traditions. In my family, we drink shitty beer. It's a stupid tradition, but whenever someone dies, we get together and we drink terrible beer.
In my family, we make the red hot and apple juice abomination. That's so great. You know, it's a you know, but it's kind of you know, with all of that, but it's still you drink shitty beer. It's what you do. and that's sometimes traditions are simply that, what you do. To the length of Yule. I mean, and we've gone on and about this all day, off and on our chatting with each other about, how long is Yule supposed to be? I had a guy, Sister Bertha Better Than You Heathen, try to tell me that it should only be celebrated for 3 days because he doesn't believe in kindreds and he's far superior because he has, he celebrates with his brothers and sisters who are all heathen. Hence why I referred to him as Sister Bertha Better Than You. But at the end of the day, it's, we've celebrated it this way for 10 years. And that's just the way we do it. And we're not going to change. I don't, you could probably, if you brought me primary source saying that Yule was only supposed to be 8 days. Well, sorry.
I did the research on that, right? And I didn't, again, when I do research, I'm not as thorough as Lauren. I'm just not. But, I read the source that mentions 3 days. And it's a primary source. It's one of the sagas. Only the reference to 3 days is literally the king made the Yule fall in line with the Christian holiday, which prior to this had only been celebrated for 3 days. That's the reference. And then when I did some Googling to figure out why do so many of us celebrate 12, I couldn't find a primary source for it. But... and I'm sure the chat is going to have one up in no time because we're heathens and it's what we do.
Let's hope so.
I just got told it was 2 months, so...
At the same time, we all do it for the time that is appropriate for our people, right? Technically, my group does 12 days. We only come together for one of those days. The rest of it is all household. So each group is going to have their own approach to it. Some may only do 3 days because of this one saga. Some may do 12, some may do 2 months. It's really just going to fall in line with how you celebrate the turning of the year.
And, we do what we do because it works. I mean, at this point in time, we've been doing it this way and we're not going to change. And I see no reason for us to change because the way we're doing it works for us. And that's really all. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Thorin?
Yes.
Your opinion? Your thoughts?
Well, I thought I already gave those.
Since when do you not have enough words to fill empty space?
Well, I always have enough words to fill empty space. When I'm paying attention.
I see how it is.
I'm bad at that.
So, but I would be interested to hear in posts or emails on the Facebook, what are some of your guys' Yule traditions? What do you do? Do you come together with your group? Do you have a group that you come together with? Or is it just going to church with your mom because that's what she does?
Also, not just what do you do, why do you do it? Because, the comment came up earlier about stupid traditions. I can name some traditions I've got that, are pretty stupid. However, they're only stupid without the cultural context that created them.
Hell, I drank something real nasty because I was picking on a tradition that seems stupid unless you know the context.
Exactly. You don't mess with sailors and their rituals.
Even when they're silly.
There you go, not knowing the context again.
No, I know the context now. I'm saying without context, it's silly.
Without context, it's absolutely horrifying.
I mean, hell, when I played football, we had a tradition of, we had a guy on the football team who was a couple inches taller than being legally a midget, right?
Little person.
Isn't the legal classification midget?
The correct terminology is little person.
Is it? I didn't.
It's or dwarf if they have dwarfism, but yeah, it's dwarfism is the technological term. Midget is a slur.
I grew up in Redding, which is the Arkansas of California, so you'll have to forgive me. Sorry, Lauren. I'm out of it.
No, Redding is the Mississippi.
No, it's not quite that. It's not quite that.
Ouch.
That's Shingletown.
Anyway, continue.
One of our traditions was we would carry this guy onto the field. I mean, it was just what we did. We also had a tradition, well, it turned into a tradition because my team was a bunch of bad people, where one person, if we won a game, would get into our tank, which was a trash can full of water for our unofficial mascot, Geppetto the goldfish, naked. And we would leave him in the blue room, our locker room, overnight. It became a tradition. It's stupid, but it was something we did to celebrate winning. Didn't happen very often, just being honest.
Well, heathen tradition. I want to kind of tie back to this. When we celebrate Wintermoot with Barfrost Stray Kindred, they have this beautiful Vatir offering they do. And it is something that has been built up over tradition because they've been using the land for over 10 years. So they know what the Vatir want. They have this specific tree that has this natural hollow in it that is where they offer things. It's just this, it's incredibly beautiful and moving because it's, and it's simple, but it's still just so beautiful because it's been built up over time and it is their tradition. And I always feel very humbled to be at that ritual when they do that because of the love that they have, that gifting cycle, that relationship they have with the Vatir is just, it's beautiful. And there's just no other way to describe it.
I'm kind of at a loss there for a little bit because I don't. There are a lot of disparate groups in our area, right? But aside from Thorin's Yule thing, we don't get together that often, and we don't know each other's traditions, right? Like we just don't. We're working on changing that with things like Cascadia Moot and the pub moots and things like that, but
well, out here, in the uncivilized wastelands, as you call us, we have that. We have these strong we're building these super strong tribal alliances and interconnected.
This is why you can't give compliments to people from the South. They take it and run with it, and
you know what? Hey, Josh. Since you've already dropped the F-bomb.
I deserve that.
Yeah, for those of you not watching, I just flipped Josh off since he used up our F-bomb. But yeah, I mean, it's, that is one of the reasons I would not want to leave here. One of the reasons I love the Midwest, because we have that. We have those communities. We have tradition and relationships that have been built up that when I got divorced from my first husband, people from other tribes took me in because we had such a relationship and they had the means to do that.
Well, the South and the Midwest have always been, just in general, really, really good at community building.
Yes.
If you look at, and if we're comparing things, if you look at Christianity, the strongest Christian communities are going to come from those areas because they have that tradition of coming together and doing things as a group of disparate groups. And it's really fascinating because out on the West Coast, we tend to only associate with those that we know and we like, and everybody else can go away.
Well, we're built on diaspora out here, and so the further east you go, the more established populations are. And just because we have a large population out here doesn't mean we have an established one. That's what
we are one of the younger parts of the country.
We are, and that's what we're trying to get over. We haven't had the time to build the way you guys have.
Excuses.
See what I'm saying about decorum?
I know, right?
I'm just saying, you guys give me
complimenting
shit.
on how they've
All the time, and then you're making excuses. But here's the thing, and this is not just to me, but this is to a lot of places. You know what has made our area the way it is? Because people are willing to travel 6 hours to get together. I mean, people are willing to drive to, 6 hours, 12 hours. I mean, Hammerstone Kindred drives over 12 hours to come to Midwinter Mood.
See,
that's because they have the drive, the determination, and desire.
In my opinion, I think you're putting the cart before the horse there a little bit. I think the tradition of community predates people's desire or ability to travel that distance. Because you go back far enough, and it's just in general, the South is really good at it.
I'm just talking about this particular heathen community that's been built up in the South and Midwest.
That's fair.
Well, Josh, as I recall, when we did Cascadia Moot, we had people flying out from New England. We had people coming in from Arkansas.
That was a California show.
California.
Yeah, but the difference is you guys had a platform. You guys had the podcast, and Destiny and Brad and their group don't, yes, I barked it for months on theirs. But the fact of the matter is that thing has become so established that I'm not going to be promoting it next year. That was kind of the decision made that at this point in time, it's not going to be an open thing like it was, because it doesn't need to be.
Well, and I would just like to again reiterate that it's really a boon for your area that you have this thing that we have to build, because we do. Like we're working towards building it, but you guys have already put in the work and built it. And I know that other groups, White Marsh, for instance, has also put in the work, and they've built themselves into a community that they've got members that travel hundreds or thousands of miles to come and be a part of their stuff. And it's really it's something to look up to, something to emulate.
And I think that's definitely important. When I grow, when I grow up, I hope that our kindred, because we're all, we're young and small, even though we've been around a while. I hope that we are, I've said before, I hope we end up like Bifrost Way here, because they're, to me, a group to be emulated, and that's how things are starting to really go here. Is you're starting to see these groups that are well established. They're the leaders, and that's, and I will say, Thorin, from your perspective, you're not the kindred that's been there for 20 years, like Bifrost is. So there's you have just like mine, we're not that. So if you're these established groups that are super successful, their example is making a huge difference in how other groups are being successful, because we're seeing what they're doing, and we're picking out the people who are successful and emulating them.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've got our exemplar groups up here. One in particular I can think of that they kept themselves out of public heathenry for a while because of some stuff that happened, but they're coming back into it, and they're being a huge positive influence on local heathenry now that they're back.
Oh no! You guys have Alf's kindred up there who are phenomenal people.
They are,
and
phenomenal people, and they're a phenomenally successful kindred.
Yes.
Well, and that's the rub, is when we talk about tradition, we necessarily have to talk about these established groups because they've put in the time and the effort to build that tradition. I don't know Alf's traditions because I'm not as close to him as Thorin is, and I don't know the traditions in your area because I live over here. But these established groups have put in all this work. And so it's important to get to know them and see the traditions that they've built and to learn from them in that way.
Right.
I mean, I freely admit that I am so lucky to be here, to have a mentor who's part of a successful group. And, something that's really happening here is people are saying, okay, well, I do this and we're successful, so I'm going to take this chance then to reach out and mentor other people and help spread. I mean, that, we can say all we want, but that's how regional heathenry is going to get built. That's it. Is by one group learning from another, younger groups learning from successful groups.
Right.
Yeah. I think ultimately the takeaway is that tradition is important. And whether you're building new traditions or embracing current traditions, it's one of those things, it's a cultural tie to your people. And when we're talking about heathenry and we're working on building, because we are, if you're a heathen, you are part of a movement to build a culture. That's what you're doing. That makes these traditions even more important.
And
because
there is
not, go ahead.
I'll say there's a power in tradition. Like I pointed out, tradition is a form of ritual, and there's a power in it for the people who do it. There is a power that binds families, a power that binds tribes and communities, and these things are important. And there are a lot of people out there, a lot of heathens or a lot of Asatru people that are new or have just never had the benefit of really learning what heathenry is about. And one of the things that they lack is tradition, these traditional rituals they're looking for answers in books. And by answers in books, I don't mean the type of research that we talk about. I mean, they're looking for manuals about how they're supposed to do things. And these manuals are never going to be good. They are going to be...
Well, even if they are good, they're never going to be enough.
No, they're going to be a really weak guideline at best. Nobody can tell you how to celebrate Yule. They can tell you the elements of the season. They can tell you the elements of the ritual, but they can't tell you the power of the tradition. That's what you have to build for your people. Because there is a tradition is the tie that binds us together. And that is probably one of the most important things that we're building as we reconstruct heathenry. Mm-hmm. So, as has been said many times before, here and elsewhere, go out and do. And I will amend that to say, and when you're done doing, go out and do again. Because as you go out and do again, the again becomes tradition. The tradition becomes a ritual, and the people become bound.
Well, and don't be ashamed of your traditions. Everybody who listens to this podcast knows that I am a beer snob. I routinely drink as good a beer as I can afford. And when I can't afford good beer, I tell you why the beer I'm drinking isn't great. But I embrace the tradition my family has to get together and drink Coors Light when someone in my family passes. It's part of who we are.
Well, the only tradition that's stupid is a tradition without context. So go create the context.
And most importantly, go be heathen. Go do heathen. Do. Because you know what? Every single one of us has gone out and done stupid traditions. We've made mistakes, but we've done and we've learned.
So, all that said, it's about time to wrap it up, I think.
It is. I want to thank Sheathenry, the new Volume 1, for being our sponsor this week. And go check that out at sheathenry.com.
Wait a second. Is there a planned Volume 2?
There is. I said this earlier.
I must have missed it. I'm sorry. I really only get about 75% of what happens here.
Sheathenry Volume 2 will be out early next year.
Fantastic.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a link up for that when it comes.
And there's a link right now at our Yule.heathentalk.com for that and lots of other great heathen craftsmen and authors.
Go buy the first one. You don't want to read the sequel before you read the first one. You'll just lose all context, I'm sure.
Well, always read the first one first anyway.
Yeah.
Always read the first
Starting
one.
in the middle of a series is just a bad idea.
Go read it.
I mean,
Go read it.
I went.
They interview me, and I'm awesome.
You know, I heard the first one is fantastic, and that's always a good thing, you know, because I've watched some terrible movies just so I can see the awesome sequels. I mean, hell, I watched Batman vs Superman a couple weeks ago.
We're not going to get into that. That's a discussion that's worse than politics.
So anyway,
Before we go, I just want to thank everybody for being patient with me and my Mucinex-addled brain. I am sure it was,
okay. It was
difficult at times.
It was just like usual.
Ouch. That hurt.
oh,
That hurt in
I
ways
meant that
that I
the
didn't
best
know I could be
possible-
hurt.
In the best possible way. I will fix it with ham.
I appreciate that. You should bring that by tomorrow.
I will.
On that note, you're not the boss of me.
You're doing it wrong.
everybody have a great week. See you next Saturday.
Honey baked ham is bad.
Josh is wrong.